Welcome back, everybody. We are learning, starting chapter 20, Parak. People think that part of the order of creation, Tohu, chaos, is a specific level. And the answer is chaos can be on many levels. Chaos and order can be on many levels. And there's an advantage to, well, the bigger idea, the bigger picture, the bigger desire, the bigger accomplishment is an amazing thing. It's a very noble thing. The problem is that if it doesn't give any space for anything else, it could be chaotic. But what could happen, somebody that's on this higher level, he can bring two opposites together and say, hey, you two opposites, how about you both give yourselves over to this higher cause? So the opposite of chaos is happening. So the same person that can be chaotic could also be creating order. It's sort of like having a strong leader. When you don't have a strong leader, so a lot of factions pop up. And when there's a strong leader, a good leader, then those factions give themselves over to the leader because they know he's a good leader. So the leader has prestige in their eyes. However, if you have a weak leader, so different factions start popping up. There starts to be a lot of competition between factions. So what's the chaotic leader, and I'm saying chaotic because he's very passionate, totally passionate about his one thing, actually can get them all to join together for the bigger mission. So Toyo is chaos, but also has an advantage. It could be the cause of the exact opposite of chaos. So that's what we're studying. And a person, the way a human being is set up, is they are not chaotic. They're not designed to be chaotic. Everything has its place. See, when you organize the spheres, the building blocks in creation, one on top of another, so that organization is a little bit chaotic is chaotic because each one doesn't have space for anybody else. On every level, it's everything. That level, that sphere is everything. But when you start to begin to organize these spheres as a unit, as a cohesive unit, and on the right side, you're going to place certain, you're going to organize. That's order. The order is opposite of chaos. You're going to order, and you're going to put certain emotions on the one side, and you're going to put different emotions. The expansive emotions, you're going to put the right side. The contracting emotions, you're going to put on the left side. The emotions which are about balance, you're going to put balance and connection, you're going to put in the middle. So you're starting to have a picture of a person. And then everything has its place. There's a time for expansiveness. There's a time for strictness. There's a time for balance. There's a time for connection. There's a time to go for it and strive. And there's a time to stick to your principles. So the way we're defining chaos is a consuming, totally being consumed in one thing, but it's chaotic when if a person's an organized leader, they know when to press go and when to press stop. They know in order to get to the end state, sometimes you need to be quiet, sometimes you need to be loud, sometimes you need to smile. So even though they are totally focused and preoccupied and obsessed with a goal, but the way it's expressed is in a orderly manner. And that's the way it's supposed to be. But when a person is preoccupied, mesmerized, totally passionate about the goal, but the expression is only one. It's like playing. Everything they do is with passion, but there's no balance. So that becomes chaotic because there's no space for anybody else. So the best is when you have chaos, when it's measured up, when a person thinks about, okay, I want this, I want to achieve my goal. How is the best way I'm going to get to that end state? I need to present myself without that passion, and then it's not chaos. But if my goal and the way I present myself to achieve that goal is an obsession, and I seem obsessed, and my tone of voice is totally obsessed, and I don't have any space for anything else, it's like a kid doing a tantrum. It's like, chaos. It's small kids. When small little kids cannot see any other way, it's chaos. It's toil. Now they could move to a different mood and come back to this mood, and going back and forth. Well, that's also chaotic. However, the fact that they're passionate, you see, everything has a good side. The fact that they're passionate about something, that's really good. Let's see inside. And layers of creation which we're familiar with. So certain aspects of them will be chaotic in a good way, and certain aspect in a orderly way, and certain things will be chaotic and not in an orderly way, at least on that level. And there is something good about that as well, because when the chaos from the high levels expresses itself in the world, it creates challenge. And when people overcome the challenge of the chaos, or the seeming chaos, then the true essence of their soul has to be revealed to overcome that chaos, to make peace with that chaos, to make order from that chaos. So it's actually good that things present themselves as chaotic, because this gives us the opportunity to organize them. And to organize them, we need to reveal even a higher level than the chaotic expression of spirits. We need to reveal a very high level in ourselves to or to organize everything. So let's start reading inside. So last week we basically started to say that the idea of spirits is like a shine, like a color of an apple, and it's that easy, like blowing on a hot coal. God creates spirits. They're not a separate creation; they're just a shine. But before we explain the spirits, we need to understand how we get from a chaotic organization of spirits to a orderly organization of spirits, and the process of transformation. Vehine, behold, kedem she'evura inyan prate yasa spirits d'Atzilus. Before I can explain to you the 10 spirits of Atzilus, which is basically God dressing himself up in a personality. Yesh lahaktim inyan nekuda sfera partzu. First, we need to preface the idea of a dot, nekuda. A dot, sphera, is one of the building blocks. The shine of God, like sapphire. So a dot, the sphera, and partsov. Partsov is a face. And why a partsov? We've been we know it's very significant for children when they're being educated to see people's faces, because when they see people's faces, they with the mirror, like they call it mirror neurons. Well, it's very simple. People can copy that face and then feel the feeling that they're feeling inside when they make that face, and then they know what somebody else is feeling. So that's part of emotional intelligence, is to look at somebody's face, copy that, mirror their feeling, and know, then analyze the recognize the emotion that I'm feeling is the emotion that the other person is probably feeling. So a whole personality of a person is expressed in their facial expression, and that's called partzuf facial expression. So basically what we have over here is 3 levels in the creation. Is when you have just the nukudah, the point, the goal, the point. Then you have a sphere. Then you have like a sphere, but the sphere is like a chord. It's dynamic. Each sphere has 10 parts. But partzuf is when you take a bunch of spheres and you organize them and create a personality. And then this personality is what is expressed to us in our relationship with God. Of course, we connect only to the essence of God, but this is a mechanism, a tool through which God can relate to us and we can relate to him as creations. There are 5 parts of him, by the way. 5 personalities or different states of being which God activates at different times. Yes, you do. It's known. The difference between chaos, toyo, and orderly things are fixed up. You know what the difference between toyo and tikkun is? Toyo, it's you have a block of gold. Tikkun, you have jewelry. It's fixed up. It's set up to be something useful and nice and pretty. B'chlal in general, the Yud spheres, the Toyo, because the 10 spheres of Toyo, hein b'v'chinas nekuda levad, the spheres are in a format of just a dot. A dot means this is it. Shein b'chinas hakasarim, they are basically crowns, means drives. The Y. And when I have my Y, maybe I don't care about anybody else's Y. And in the world of Tikkun, every sphera divides up into 10. In other words, it's dynamic. In the world of order, we're going to have a dynamic, a chord. In other words, each sphere is like a chord of different notes. And that's why we're going to have something orderly. Because you're going to be able to make different spheres bond to each other through a name of God, which is spelt, when it's spelt out fully, which each letter spelt out like how you spell out the full letter, and the way you're going to spell hey is hey aleph, and the way you're going to spell vav is vav aleph vav, and the way you're going to spell hey, the last hey is also hey aleph. You're going to, and each letter has a numerical value. You're going to end up with ma, which is 45, and that energy allows for integration. The energy from Shema allows for integration, and it is. I'll tell you what it is. It's like when you play music, certain chords match and certain other chords don't match. So if you have a few people playing the piano, you can actually match up with the various notes. You can match up the chords and they can harmonize with each other. Who is the harmonizer? That's Shema. It's like the conductor. Obiur advarim, and the explanation of the words Yedua, it's known shebechinas anakuda bechinas ha'atzmus. Atzmius, sorry. A dot. What is the dot? Is like the essence, the core. Terem shemispashet kunukuda. Before it spreads out, and it's just the dot. Shubechinas bilti mispashetes. And nukuda means a dot. It doesn't even spread out. It is what it is. For example, so you can have all emotions. They can be that chaotic or orderly. So how is it? When you have the light of the emotion of kindness, and the essence of the what's behind the attribute of kindness is the kesser, the driver behind it. I'm not speaking about the way chesed is rooted in the essence of the soul before it even exists. That's called yechida, the essence of the soul. There's 5 souls that a person has. The fifth soul is the fifth soul is yechida. By the way, if you reveal yechida, even the bad people, the really, really bad people, they join the good, because even on their yechida, it's like they realized that the only reason why they were causing these problems was in order to reveal the good side, which they agree with deep down. There is no, if yechida is revealed, the 5th level of the soul, then even the enemies become friends. Then we all agree that there's some higher mission and purpose, and it's almost like people are in a play, and you have the villain, and you have the perpetrator, and you have the hero, and you have the mentor. And when yechida is revealed, everybody knows that they're in a play, and they're all working for the same goal. Even similarly negative things that people did, they will understand how it really was for the experience in order to get to a higher self, or to help others to get to a higher revelation of the self, the essence. So I'm not speaking about chesed the way it is in the yechida, because over there, over there, it's in a total potential state. It's as if it didn't happen yet. Canal, like we explained, all these metaphors, birthday parties, in chapter 10 and chapter 11. We're speaking now, I'm intending to speak about the revelation of a want to do a specific kindness. To bring it out from the hidden, essential, potential kindness. Shigam ze arotzen hu bilti ispashtus adain. Even over there, this want is not spread yet. Rak kameshu belay terem tam klal. It's as if it's l'rotzen ze lama retze begiloi lechetzet ze. At that level, so it's not totally in potential. It's like I want, but I don't even know why I want. I just want. That's because my essence of my soul says so. His chalkus at fanim shonim. And how much more so, it doesn't have different ways of expression. Or gam im sichle mataklap chesed davke. And even if fanim shonim, or gam im sichle mataklap. Let's say if a person's intellect always is going to the kind side, is like a defendant naturally. Davka ein beis chalkus at fanim shonim. Alpha pishu seichel. So it doesn't know how to express itself in any other way. Now, even though the intellect that naturally turns towards kindness and find merit in people, that is chachma shebechesed, that is the wisdom that works, that is inside kindness. ha'atzmi, the essential kindness. Aval gam hu rak b'chinas nakuda. Even the kindness of of is just a dot. B'china netzach shebechesed zeh hu ba b'chinas nakuda. In other words, it just full stop, meaning there's no space for anything else. And even netzach, that is inside this kindness, the idea of winning and being victorious and pursuing the expression of kindness, it's just like one dot. It turns out that even this essential kindness has 10 facets. It has a rotain, there's a driver, a seichel, and it has some sort of justification in intellect, umides, and it has various emotions that serve the kindness. However, these emotions that serve the kindness, they're not recognizable. All of them are just like, it's all one dot. And this level, we're speaking about out of the three. So this is a certain level of tayo. This is a certain level of tayo, of chaos. And why? Because it's not flexible in expression. So nakuda, sphere of 3 levels. The level of nakuda is the same as akudim. Akudim means that they are all bound up in one vessel. The akeda is when when somebody's tied up with their feet and their hands behind their back. Everything's tied up, it's all one. That's why the 10 spheres of Tayo, 10 spheres of chaos, and we're speaking about the way they are in Akudim, הם בלתי מסייחדים מסכלים זה על זה. זה על זה. They cannot unite with others. There is no tolerance for them, for anybody else. Elohim b'chinas zeh tachas zeh. They are one. They when you note them on a paper, they're one on top of each other. Now we say that the Esav, the brother of Jacob, brother of Yaakov, he was a chaotic man, and he had kings in his descendants. And it says about these 8 kings. It says in the Torah, and it's very interesting because basically the Torah is prophesizing 500 years ahead of when it was written, and through those 500 years we had these 8 kings, and it says over there that they were king and they died. In other words, their style of leadership did not continue. It was not replicable because they were chaotic. And each one of the kings of Esav, they took on a different culture, and they had no space for another culture, and their culture would not survive. By the way, the last one was a little better. Last king that they had. So, for example, an essential want that becomes revealed as chesed, even though it has intellect, but it will not be able to unite and work with the opposite want. of it. For example, if he wants kindness, he will not be able to hang around with the prosecutor. Now the reason why now, even though even the emotion which goes towards prosecution, it has the intellect that swings towards being judgmental, but they have no skills, they have no tools from which to find an interface. It's like they can't speak with each other. Because they do not have a vessel in which they could come to some sort of meeting. These two opposites. It's like, okay, we cannot be friends. Like we see very clearly, from somebody their brain bends towards kindness, in essence. They see everything in a positive way. That person cannot bear the opposite. It's somebody whose mind turns towards judgment. I had two people help me move some stuff, and one person was extremely talkative, and the other one liked to be quiet and work. And the guy wanted to take his stuff and leave because he cannot stand working with people that are talking all the time. So one's more an introvert, the other one's more of an extrovert, and the guy was going to leave. And I was saying, and I tried to like come from a higher angle and say, well, you just get this job done, don't have to. You can work over here, and he'll work over there, and peace. So you see, like some people cannot handle a different way of dealing with life. And he explains, this is like we find in the Mishnah. This is in the times of the Romans. Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, the house of Shammai, the house of Hillel. Not Hillel and Shammai themselves, is the yeshiva. So there's a good point that I just saw come up on the stream. What, Rabbi Smith, what are the three? What was just on the screen? We just
over here. We have the first question was from all the way back. It was, how are you defining chaos? Are you defining chaos as an all-consuming focus on one thing?
Yes.
Oh, so you're saying, so can you explain it a little bit more? Because I always think of chaos as like scattered in many directions rather than too focused on one thing.
Well, it could be the person jumps to other directions, but each moment he's chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
When he's focused on that one thing, it's chaotic because he's not able to integrate the other things.
Mm. Okay, something to think about. Is this idea of chaos reflected in the spheres?
Yes, when the spheres are set up in a way that they cannot handle, they have no vessel to be able to interface with another sphere, then it's chaotic.
It sounds like this chaos, the third question, it sounds like chaos has at least these three characteristics. One, totally consumed by one thing. Two, not flexible in expression. Three, not able to work with its opposite. Is that correct?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we're saying. Say those again. One,
totally consumed by one thing.
Yes, totally consumed with one thing. Exactly.
Two, not flexible in expression.
Not flexible in expression. Exactly.
And three, not able to work with its opposite.
Not able to work with its opposite. Yeah.
So then the next question came up is, you mentioned at the beginning that a chaotic leader could be good, but how is that so?
Well, if you have people lower down, and he can get them to give up on their ideas for his idea, the big idea, so he's actually doing the opposite of chaos. He himself is totally consumed on one thing, but he's able to get opposites to meet together in order to achieve his one thing. So the result is, he may be chaotic, but the result is he creates peace.
Because he created peace between all these different disparate type of attitudes. But how does he get everyone to? One second though. If he himself is chaos because he's focused on one thing, if he gets everyone who's going in different directions, isn't going in different directions a good thing since it's not chaotic? Or because each person is focused in a different direction, therefore it's chaos?
What do you say?
I'm saying, if I'm just going to put up here on the screen this question and answer here, because I think just people could appreciate seeing it in writing. But my question is like this: we're saying that the person, chaos is a person being focused on one thing. So you have one guy is the leader, he's focused on one thing. We're saying that's not good. But then he has a bunch of subordinates who are all focused, they're going in different directions. So that should be counterbalancing his singularity of purpose. Why isn't that good? Why is it good when he gets them all to work under him, and now everyone's subsumed in his focus?
They made peace with each other, and we agreed that this one purpose is indeed noble. It's just that the expression of it needs to be done right in order for this big idea to be able to be achieved.
So it says the leader. So you're saying, mentioned in the beginning that a chaotic leader could be good, but how is that so? So you say when he's able to unify other people under his vision. The leader, then the comment comes back. The leader is at least temporarily ordering others under the leader's single focus.
What, one more time?
The leader is at least temporarily ordering others under the leader's single focus.
Yes. And he's really going beyond his own chaos by the fact that he's recognizing that others may be able to implement his vision by expressing different emotions and joining together in different ways.
So the follow-up question. Go ahead.
Appreciates order.
Follow-up question.
But he appreciates order.
Yeah, he's disorganized, but he appreciates order. Okay. So the follow-up question is, so the chaotic leader is good when their purpose is noble?
Yeah, could be.
Then there's a follow-up comment, is a philosopher king ? Well, I think that's getting into what the king occupies his head with. It doesn't, that's going like this Plato's idea. Plato had the idea that the ideal leader was a philosopher and a king. So he was into lofty concepts and he was able to lead people. But we're not here talking about what the king is, this leader is occupying himself with. He could be, like in the Torah, it talks about a person who, Yiftach, he was a very simple person who was like a tribal chieftain of robbers, really. And like he ended up becoming the leader of everyone because he had the courage. Doesn't say what he was using his mind for, whether he was thinking lofty thoughts or not. He just had a singularity of purpose and direction and was able to unify everyone under him. So I would just say, respond to that point over there, that we're not talking about an idea like Plato had. We're not talking about what the leader is doing with his mind. We're talking about what the leader is able to do with, because of the strength of his direction and unifying everyone under him. That's what makes this chaotic leader into a good person, if he's capable of doing that for noble purpose.
Right, but Yiftach wasn't a philosopher.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He was not. He was a simple person.
Yeah, a simple person, and he was able to unite everybody, and those certain truths that he understood. And because they recognized him for that, and he was necessary, he was a needed leader, so he became the leader. And we actually, in his chaos in his personal life actually, came out with mistakes that he did.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll
If he
put
would
back.
have been a philosopher, then maybe he wouldn't have. He would have. That's more like tikkun. He would have. Maybe he would have avoided those mistakes.
Assuming that his philosophy was in the right place, because you can have a philosopher king who goes astray with all his thinking.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, I'll put the screen and back up here.
So we have an example of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, B'kai Gavna, and similar cases in history. Shigam shemenagda yakshe alav. Even when his opposite asks questions, v'lo yuchal limtzei tam yishtek, and he will not be able to defend himself and find reason to defend himself, then he'll be quiet. But he's not able to, he's just so connected to his conviction because it's like the core of their soul. He's not able to show agreement with the other person and retract his own position. He doesn't have the ability to say, I was wrong, I was incorrect, and I am now taking on your position. And I think the reason why that didn't happen Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel is because the reason why they saw the law so differently is because naturally Beis Shammai was more of a strict, focused person, and his students were as well, and Beis Hillel were focused on kindness. And God created such a way that the majority of the wise men were more veering naturally to kindness. And now you can speak from day to tomorrow. You're not going to be able to change that. They're always going to find kindness in every situation. That's Beis Hillel. And the same thing Beis Shammai. They're always going to find focus and hard work in every situation. So even if they're trying to have an intelligent discussion, so listen, if a guy's really immature, they're going to get angry. But it doesn't say they got angry. They didn't get angry. They just became silent. But they didn't lose their conviction. So that's an aspect of Tayo. It would be more Tayo if they got angry. They didn't get angry. No, they were mature. They didn't get emotional. If you are trying to have an intellectual conversation with somebody, and then when they fail to bring data, they start becoming angry and they start doing name calling or whatever, just the fact they become emotional. Well, that's like really immature Tayo. What appropriate would be is the person would just be quiet and, I beg to differ. I can't change the way I hold. This is the way I hold. That's an appropriate Tayo. It's chaos, but it's civil. So Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel were civil with each other. But if you see people starting to get angry, something's really wrong over there. Anyway, but what happens is when you have organization, you have this emotion starts to spread out of it, the essence of the Ratzon v'Seichel Sheba, out of the driver, the want, and the intellect. And this means to say, just like when you take the emotion of kindness, when there is born. Let's go to the next page. When there is born. You now have a want and you have a justification and intellectual justification to turn towards kindness, to another person, because he did for him a good deed. So therefore, because he did for me a good deed, I'm not being kind to this person because that's who I am. The essence of good and kindness, which comes in a revealed way. And it's for sure that the goodness is imprinted in the essence of his soul. No, that's not what we're speaking about. We're speaking about in order, in the world of order. Adarabba, it's the opposite. It could be that a person is cruel in nature. However, because he's functioning in a system of order, somebody that gave him a free gift was gracious to him, and he saved him from death, and similar things. Suddenly he's going to want to do good to this person, and the brain will start turning love to this person, Tamid, all the time, lechesed, to do kindness, veliskes, and to find merit in this person, chula, etc. And similar things to this nature. Nikra chesed v'teva murkav. This is called a compound kindness. Murkav means to ride. Something's riding. It's not the essential, simple kindness, ha'atzmi, which is essential, that is in the essence of this nature. Gavna yuvan. And similar, it's you can understand behipucha in the opposite nature, in the emotion, b'midas adin, in the emotion of judgment. Hamurkav lahatas l'tzaynei. The brain and the wants always turn towards finding fault. L'seine. Oh no, Amidas Adin Marukav. It is a compound. It's a compound emotion, and therefore the brain and the want is finding fault specifically to a person that he hates because that person did him bad, a lot of bad. I'm going to explain compound in a second because we're going to compound means it's one thing rides on another. I'm going to explain it more. Gam shebe'etzem tivehu ish chazdan. Even though in the essence of the person he may be a man of kindness, v'rachman, a man of compassion, bal derech zeh. So it could be that a person is a man of compassion, but he can have a compound emotion that for a person that did him a lot of evil, he is going to find ways to find fault with that person, and he's going to get the guy. It's like the American justice system. If if they don't like somebody, so then the prosecutor will find a reason. The crime will be found. Valderech ze yuvan sheachli is b'murkav, and it could be that in a compound, it could be that in a compound, an emotion, there could be many different expressions. Many different expressions in the way things are compounded, hamidus of the emotions. What do I mean by compound? Let me explain a little more. It's not essential, and therefore it's triggered by something else. In other words, it's a behavior. A guy it doesn't matter the fact that I could be a cruel person, but this person gave me good. So that is now a trigger for an emotion. That's why it's compound. the other person's behavior towards me, then that's the one side of the compound, causes me to do the opposite of my natural emotion, and that's what we mean by compound. And this is what we mean, love and fear, which are dependent on something. I love this person because they're nice to me, right? If they stop being nice to me, I won't love them anymore. On the other hand, a mother that gives birth to a child, that if the mother's healthy, so even if the child does something against it, the mother just can't not like the, the baby if she's again healthy. They're naturally okay. So that's more. So you see what's happening. Call it chaos, but I would just say it's unflexible. Is it bad? Not necessarily. Depends. So now we're speaking about compound, means that there's an emotion that's actually triggering that. No, that there's an intellect, there's a reason that's triggering an emotion. That's why it's two things, compound from two things. Now a person now can be a nuanced person. He's able to find something that for one reason he's going to like it, via Ritzena V'sichle Akolatev, and because of that one good thing of one benefit, it's all going to be good. V'chesed, and it's going to be good and kindness. Umitzade Abeis, on the other side, Ba'oisa Davar Atzmei, in that very same thing, he's going to dislike a downside. Yisaeno is going to hate it. And his mind is going to turn his mind and his want to evil, to bad, to cause punishment. And it could be that a person is so balanced, that's tikkun, that it's going to be like both things, yachad, together. It's written like his judgment over there. Look, now God is now expressing himself at this point in time in a very orderly way. Why? Because two opposites, two paradoxic things are coming out, and they're all at the same time on the same thing. Now Shaul heard some inaccurate report that the city of Noiv rebelled against him, which was not true. They were just friendly to David. They didn't know that of any argument. So Shaul killed the city. He ordered that the city should be killed. Part of the people, there were still priests, but there were also people that were originally converts. And they were called Givonim. And then the family tradition for years, when they originally converted, their jobs was providing water and doing technical things for the temple of that time. It wasn't a permanent temple yet. So God was upset that he killed the Givonim. They were innocent, really. But when Shaul was killed, nobody said a sermon to honor him properly. Now, 1 second. Shaul did something wrong, and God is angry. He killed people unlawfully. He killed the city of Noiv unlawfully, and these Givonim were killed amongst them. God is mad. He is also mad. So Shaul gets killed in a war. He's also mad that when he was buried, they didn't make an appropriate sermon for a person of his stature. At the same time, that is order. That both are true. Shaul did something bad, but he's still appropriate to get a befitting honor by his funeral. Davar v'hipuche. Something, and it's very opposite. Ke'echad, at the same time. Let's look at a different story. So we're seeing the way God is interacting with the creations in a way of tikkun. V'chein keshenasa Shlomo bas Parei, when Shlomo married the daughter of Paro. Now he had his intent. Paro was the most powerful energy of the time, but there was a prohibition to marry the Egyptians. So Shlomo, in his wisdom, figured out some sort of loophole. He wouldn't properly marry her, but anyway, a relationship was created, and he understood that there's a loophole. But God said, "No, you can't do that. You gotta. That's not the face value of the halacha. It's wrong what you're doing. God is angry." I'll say on this, Amar. Now, I'll say Amar ki al api chulo. Says God was angry. He was really angry. And you know what? At that point in time, do you know that the southern part of Italy did not exist till that time? God sent an angel, and he put a staff into the water, and dust started to gather, earth started to gather around the stick, and the bottom part of Italy was created. And that basically became the foothold for the Roman Empire. Rome was built on it. And then eventually Rome destroyed the second temple. So in God's anger, that's what was triggered, the great suffering till today. Now, on the same day where he married the daughter of Shlomo, V'shir Hashirim Nemar, and it says in the song,
daughter of Paro.
daughter of Paro, sorry, the daughter of Paro, Nemar, it says, Al Simchas Binyan Beis Hamikdash. The same day, God was really happy on the building of the Beis Hamikdash. I think he buried at that time, but there's a happy thing that happened was that the temple was built. God was happy with the temple being built. Like it says, on the day that he's happy. So what's happening is simcha, appropriate happiness, enough, and appropriate anger, two opposite things, at one time. Another time we see God taking on different emotions, opposite emotions. He says, Ki yetze leva adam ra. I will not destroy the world anymore, because you know what? Their heart is built. They have a drive towards evil. Can't blame them. But before the flood, it says Vayar Hashem ki raba ras adam. God saw that there's so bad that man is doing, and he regretted creating man. Cool. He uses the same reason for opposite behaviors. The first reason was the behavior that he came was to destroy. And then he used this very same reason, and he said we shouldn't destroy. Like it says in another place, this is the way the emotions of tikkun, of order, function. They are compound. In other words, what's triggering them is something that spreads. That's not only because of the essence. It's something that the emotion spreads, but it's triggered by something. So therefore, since it's not the essence that's triggering it, it's open to change. And I think that's what it is. It's open to change. It's flexible. Al ken yuchel yes, is kalos davar v'hipuchei, and therefore it's possible that a person should do a paradox in an appropriate way. The point of Tayo, we're going to go to the questions very soon. We're just going to finish up. The point of Tayo, the Gam Shenasa Chalkos Layud, even though in Tayo there are 10 facets, Ein Zerak Sphira, but it's still, they are totally subservient to the want and the desire. So it's only just a Sphira, but it's not a full personality. Because a personality has all different chords, all different ways of expression. Only in tikkun, where each point spreads chutz out of the essence. Then if it's not the essence, see, the essence can't change. But if it's a reason that's triggering it, so that you can now mix up through using various vessels that are that the various vessels which now you can compound things. You can hold a vessel for this, a vessel for that. That's a compound. Two things: vessel and light inside it, or vessel and water, or vessel and drink. Without, and what we said is enough for the understanding. Mashakosov Sefer Yetzirah, and what's written in the book of Yetzirah, the book of creation, which I believe was written by Abraham. Teref Eshumayim Uvalam Zebezeh. God mixed up fire and water and put them together. That's the idea of of compound. Eshumayim, fire and water. Dafka. Not in their essence. In other words, in their essence, fire and water don't mix. But if they are out of their essence, there's space. They're able to join. Commission goes like explained in another place at length. Let's look at the questions. What are the questions? But Rabbi Smith, what are the questions?
I'm pulling them up.
Okay.
So we're gonna go back a little bit. Good. Oh, another question about the king, the chaotic leader. When a chaotic leader comes to power, how do they work with the people below them to mitigate their chaotic tendencies?
So they can realize that they're chaotic and give them space to. They realize that I'm going to allow you to achieve my goals, even if the way you do that is a little different from the way I would do it. So that's when the chaotic leader is actually leaving his own chaos and he's allowing other people to decentralize command. If he's a chaotic leader in a negative sense, is if he has to micromanage it and only his way and no other way to reach the goal. So he's actually going to achieve the opposite. He's not mature because he's going to achieve he's not going to achieve what he wants to achieve, because what he wants to achieve and the way he wants to achieve it is all one. So it's all blah. But a chaotic leader that really is dedicated to this goal is going to say, listen, I can't express myself in any way. I'm really passionate about what I'm doing, but I understand that you want to achieve my goal, and I understand that you're able to express it in a way to achieve my goal better than I can. So I'm going to give you the space to do that. And that's decentralized command. That's a good chaotic leader, because chaotic, it's not bad over here.
Please explain compound kindness one more time.
So it's the essence is not what's triggering the kindness, because the essence can't change. It's a certain reason that's triggering the kindness. So since the reason can change, the kindness can also be expressed different ways. That's what we mean compound. The trigger is not of the essence. So therefore, if the trigger can change and the emotion can change.
Here's another question. When something and its opposite exist both at the same time, is that chaos? If it is not chaos, what is it?
It's truth. It's maturity. If somebody does something wrong, but they do something good, if you're going to say to them, oh, you're totally not good because you did this thing bad to me, you're totally not good. So that's not true. And that's not won't come to a good result. But if the person is of a much more emotional maturity, and he's going to say, this is you did good and I don't like it, and there's going to be consequences, and something else you did amazing and they're going to be really good consequences from the same, from doing the good thing, and both are true. So everything is getting their place, and everything is accounted for, and everything's fair.
So the emotions of order can support something and its opposite due to the compounding of emotions?
Yes.
Okay, next question. In my observation,
It's when they say somebody's they box somebody in a certain category, that's real tayo. That's total chaos. And they say everything this person says is under this category. When you actually listen to what the person says, let's say scientists, they will say, I really support and I believe in certain ways of expressing these products. However, in this specific way, I do not support because of that reason. You see, that's compound. That's mature, tikkun. But the dismissing somebody because they don't like them, that's tayo. That's chaos, and in a bad way.
next question is, in my observation, people tend to try to find inconsistencies in others to attempt to discredit them. However, it sounds like a good person can hold paradox without undermining the goodness of their character. Is that accurate?
Very accurate. I mean, I've noticed by Smith, one thing, you take people that other people vilify, and you see their the value in certain things that they do. You do not support the bad things that they do, but you do see the value in the good that they do. So that's appropriate. That's tikkun.
God willing, will inspire more people to do that. Any other questions? Okay, so let's pause and, oh yes, there's one more question. One more. Okay, question is being typed right now, and we are in suspense. How do we deal with people? How do we deal with negatively chaotic people?
Gosh, pray. You have to go to some even a higher chaos and reveal that, like even a higher purpose where their chaos can be nullified to that even higher purpose. Or you make them think. That's more like open up their mind. We'll say, you really want this, you really want that, but we can get this through doing ABC. I agree that you really want this thing, but the vessel to get that thing is like this. You think it's that, but maybe it's that, and we can make both people happy because the other person wants something, and we have a vessel to fulfill their want, and we have a vessel to fulfill your want. So how about, it's important that we give space for everybody, and you can get fully what you want and they can get what you want. Why don't we do that? And if you're just going to be fighting, then you may not get what you want and they may not get what they want. So there's a better way. But you have to start the process of tikkun. There needs to be an intellect which is outside of their essence, of their emotions. So if you don't have that, then you can't create a compound, because all you have is one, their essence, and there's no space for anything else. And not their real, it's not their real essence, it's just the essence of their emotions, of their of the emotion that they're spreading, and they has no space for anything else. So you really need to wake them up. And so both are true. Both, you need to awaken them to a higher purpose, the idea of tranquility, right? For the purpose of tranquility, you agree that it's important to be tranquil, and the other side, do you agree it's important to be tranquil? So for the purpose of tranquility, what you want to do may not work out unless we choose the right behavior. So we have to bring them up to a higher level, at the same time start waking them up and helping them think that the only way they're going to achieve their big chaotic purpose is if they are very accurate in the way they choose to express it.
Very interesting. Okay, excellent. Let's pause now, then we'll say a few words about the parsha. And I hope you're going to speak, because I want to talk about something that we talked about earlier this week.
Okay, I'm losing power, so I'm gonna turn off my screen and connect to power, but I'll still be listening, and then I can come back on.
Okay.